this is the Provoked Prawn, and here I'm comparing the Razer DeathAdder V3 Pro with the Razer Viper V2 Pro. These are two interesting mice from Razer, which have both had a number of different changes from their previous versions, mostly shedding weight to make them lightweight and ergonomically viable in some interesting ways. I've unboxed and reviewed both these mice separately, and I've done some other comparison videos to talk about the differences between them and other Razer mice, so I'll link to those videos in the description. But here I want to show you the different mice and talk about the features of them. The main point of them both has been shedding the weight and making them even more lightweight, which is why Razer sent a tennis ball with the Viper V2 Pro, just to show how light it is, because it's the same weight as a tennis ball. They're both similarly spec'd with Razer's hyperspeed wireless connectivity, giving you a 2.4 GHz wireless connection. They also have very similar specs under the hood, with 30,000 max DPI, Razer's Gen-3 optical switches, 750 IPS, 70 Gs max acceleration, and USB charging capabilities. They also have roughly comparable battery life, and I'll leave all the specs in the description for you to find out more on that. But the experience is that they're basically very similar. You'll see even in some of the clips in here, if you blink, you might not even be able to see which mouse you're looking at, because they're very similar in sort of their design aesthetics, especially because they're both white, but they also both have grip tape, they both have USB-C charging, they both have 5 programmable buttons. So there's a lot of similarities between them, and yet the DeathAdder is ever so slightly different. Obviously, a different lineup, different mice. The DeathAdder is a differently ergonomic mouse and, in my opinion, a more comfortable one. Now, both these mice might be controversial if you're a fan of Razer products and you look at the historic versions of both the DeathAdder and the Viper. The Viper Ultimate, for example, which came before the V2 Pro, had its own little charging dock that you could put the mouse on when you weren't using it. It also had ambidextrous design with buttons on both sides. Now you've lost that, but you have got some nice upgrades, including that USB-C connection and an enhancement to the ergonomics. The DeathAdder V3 Pro also has some really nice changes in the ergonomics department and makes it more appealing, in my opinion, because it pushes up into the palm nicer, sits higher off the desk, it has less angry angles on it than the original DeathAdder, and also the buttons on the side stick out more. And these comparisons also go to the Viper, because the DeathAdder is a little bit larger, so if you're looking for a larger mouse that pushes into your palm a bit nicer, then the DeathAdder is the one, whereas the Viper sits a little bit lower on the desk, has a little bit more slimline design to it, and they both sport this sort of matte finish plastic on them, which makes them grippy, but they also both include grip tape, which I'll show you in a second, which means that you can enhance the grip and the feel of it when you need to, but I didn't feel like it was completely necessary. Both have kind of loud mouse wheels, but not obnoxious in any way, and you can also change the DPI button by pressing on the underside and turn the power on and off. You will note there's no Bluetooth connectivity on either of those, so they're not that feature-rich in those different departments, but you can see that they're both very light, and as I said, comparable with a tennis ball as well. You'll see from the underside you have some slick PTFE areas, so they glide about really nicely. Now, I think Razer was going after Logitech's G Pro X Superlight with both these mice in some ways, making them lightweight, agile, and fairly simple. There's no RGB lighting, so you're cutting down on the negative impact on battery life, but also they just flick around the desk really easily, almost as well as a tennis ball. You can see them gliding about with relative ease. And I must say, actually, the DeathAdder V3 Pro has been one of my favorites of late because of the comfort, the nice shape of it, the ergonomic stylings on it, and also just the capabilities of it as well. Both mice are upgradable too, so they have a 1000 Hz polling rate as standard, but you can pay for the hyper polling dongle from Razer and get up to 4000 Hz polling rate. They also have optical switches, so they should last longer than the G Pro X Superlight as well, so those switches should be more durable and also give you more accuracy over time and less chance of debounce and things like that. So you also should just find that they are satisfying in that way. And you'll see there's not any play or unnecessary annoyances with the switches as well, so a bit of comfort there. However, as I said, I definitely prefer the DeathAdder for sort of the side buttons. You can see they're kind of flush on the Viper, although nowhere near as flush as they were on the Viper Ultimate. So I still really liked the Viper V2 Pro, controversially, because a lot of people thought it was terrible in the fact that it just shed so many features from the Viper Ultimate in favour of sort of that lightweight design. But I still think the DeathAdder is the nicer of the two. Now, you will have seen several of these clips where it was really difficult to work out the difference between them because they're very similar looking mice. That DeathAdder just juts out a little bit more. But one of the nice highlights to it is the inclusion of the grip tape, which adds surprisingly very little extra weight. So if you need it, you have this very snakeskin-esque grip tape that you can add to it, and both mice include this as an optional upgrade which you can throw into it, and then you can add something to the aesthetics. Now, I said in the reviews I don't think it was necessary to do this. However, if you've got really sweaty or oily hands and you get particularly tense during your gaming sessions, you might find it's beneficial to do so, and it's nice to have that included. But the reason they've included it is because of the weight shedding aspect of it. So quite similar mice that have made quite a few different changes to if you look at the previous versions, but both fantastic for their own reasons and their own sort of style and aesthetics. Be sure to check out the description for more information and to watch the full in-depth reviews of both these mice. Let me know in the comments if you've got any questions. Thanks for watching. This has been the Provoked Prawn. Hope you found this video useful, interesting, hilarious, or otherwise. Take a look at these other videos that I think you might find interesting as well. And have a look at the description for links and other information you might find useful. Click that join button to see the benefits of being a member of my YouTube channel. And most importantly, have a great life.